This is the game we have all been waiting for. If you haven't been waiting for it, for me, I have been waiting for this match. Mamelodi Sundowns against Pyramids FC in the CAF Champions League final. So you want to watch video, trust me, you want to watch this video because I'll give you a full insight into the game, what to expect, and probably you'll get to know who is favorites to win the game after watching this. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so welcome back. My name is Dennis Sayram, our African football over here. So thanks as always for always watching the videos and engaging, leaving the comment and liking. Thanks always. And I appreciate everyone who always watches the videos. But let me get straight into the game. So this Champions League final is set to be a final of an experience because Sundowns have won the Champions League just one time, and then Pyramids have not won it at all. But in reality, on paper, Pyramids actually have more Champions League trophies than Sundowns. That is the players of Pyramids. So Sharif Ekrami, the backup goalkeeper for Pyramids, is a legend of Ali. He's won, I think, 3 Champions League trophies, made over, I think, probably over 200 appearances for Al Ali. So he is now, these days, the backup goalkeeper, adding his experience to the Pyramids team. So there is a man who has won it all on the continent. 3 Champions League trophies is no joke. You get into the midfield of Pyramids and you find this man, Walid El-Kati, who is also a Champions League winner, winning the Champions League with El Casablanca back in his days in Morocco. He even has, should I say he's a folk legend in Morocco when he scored a controversial goal which was denied in the 2019 CAF Champions League final against Esperance. That's Wydad against Esperance. These days, you find him on a lot of tifo in Morocco where they replicate that moment where he scored that goal, which was denied in 2019. So he's now with Pyramids and also bringing his experience into the final, another winner of the Champions League. And there is also Ramadan Sobi, who, before going into Europe, going to play for, I think, Stoke City, then Huddersfield, he had played with Ali and won the Champions League. I think it was either 2019 or 2020, won the Champions League with Ali before going. So in total, we did have, I think, 5 trophies. Yes, 3 for Ekrami, 1 for Subi, and then 1 for El-Kati. So 5 trophies in total. Whereas if you go to Mamelodi Sundowns, for the winners in the team, well, Papello Morena joined Sundowns in 2016 after they had won the Champions League. So he wasn't part of the team who won it. But they want players who are still in the Sundowns team that won the Champions League. You have Dennis Onyango, who was a goalkeeper back then in 2016. These days, he's mostly the backup goalkeeper. And just like how Ekrami is with Pyramids, but he won the Champions League in 2016. And then there is also the ever-present Mishishi Fembazwane, who is also part of the team who won the Champions League in 2016. So it's literally 5 Champions League trophies for Pyramids and 2 for Mamelodi Sundowns. Even though Sundowns have won it before and Pyramids haven't won it before, but there's the experience on paper in terms of the players going into the game. There is also another side for this final where, for both teams, they have players who have really experienced losing finals in their CAF competitions. So in 2017, SuperSport United lost the CAF Confederations Cup final to, that is, KP Mazembe. And in that SuperSport United team, you had Aubrey Modiba, who was playing for them back then. You have Ronan Williams, who was part of the SuperSport United team back then. There is also Tabo Mokwena, part of the team back then, and even Grant Kekana in defense, part of the team back then. All these players are now starting players for Sundowns, so they know what it feels. They know how it feels to lose a cup final coming into this game to play against Pyramids. For Pyramids, it's almost a similar story because in 2020, they played in the Confederations Cup final against RS Berkane, which was at a neutral venue, yes, in Morocco. A neutral venue in Morocco, and they lost that final by 1-0. But in that team also for Pyramids, they had Akram Tofik, who is still with the Pyramids team now. They had Ali Gaber, who is still there. They had Mohamed Hamdi, who is also still there. They had Ahmed Osenawi. He was back then, I think, the backup goalkeeper, but he's still around with the Pyramids team. And then you had the teenager, Ibrahim Adel, who was a teenager back then. Wasn't really playing a lot of minutes because he was that young, but he was still talented. And all these players were part of the Pyramids team who lost the cup Confederations Cup final in 2020. So both teams know how it feels to lose a final. Now, let me start by getting into both of these teams. For Pyramids FC, the road to the final has been difficult. It's been really difficult. I think if you look at it on the face value, you would think that they probably had an easy access, an easy road to the final, because you see a lot of games where they scored a lot of goals and they are unbeaten at home. So you think it was an easy road, but it wasn't. Right from the qualification stage, the qualifiers to the Champions League, they played, I think, APRFC from Rwanda. The first leg ended in a 1-1 draw, which was played in Rwanda. The second leg in Egypt, it was 2-1. Up until, I think, 90 plus minutes, it was 2-1. It was very nervy. If APR had gotten any goal at that point, and Pyramids were going out, if they had gotten any goal, Pyramids will not even make it to the group stage. And I think it was 90 plus minutes where Pyramids got a penalty and then scored a goal to settle the game and also calm down the nerves in the game. In the group stage, I think they had a fairly comfortable progression in the group stage, because apart from the odd games like losing away to Esperance, they lost 2-0 to Esperance away. So apart from a game like that, I think they had a lot of very comfortable wins. They beat Sagrana Esperanza 5-1. They beat Joliba 6-0 in the group stage. They even made it out of the group stage with some games in hand. So it was fairly comfortable for them. But that was where the comfort ended, because when they got to the quarterfinal stage and played against Asfa, after getting a 4-1 win in the first leg, where everybody thought it was going to be a stroll in the park to make it to the semis for them, they went to the return leg at the Meknes Stadium in Morocco, and it was tough. I mean, having to deal with the hostile environment from the home crowds, the skirmishes by the Moroccan team to try and qualify, and even on the day itself on the pitch, and they lost that game by 2-0. And getting to the last minutes of the game, they were literally fighting for their lives, because had Asfa scored any other goal in the last, I think, 8 minutes or so, Pyramids would have been eliminated. So it was quite a nervy finish for them to make it out of the quarterfinals. In the semi-final, it was the same story. They had a good first leg against Orlando Pirates. Should have probably won that first leg, but then came to play the second leg, which was also another nervy game. They needed, I think, a goal in the 80 plus minutes to qualify. So it hasn't been an easy journey at all for Pyramids FC to get to this final. But currently getting into the final of the Champions League, Pyramids are the only team on the continent who can actually win the treble. They can win the Egypt Premier League, they can win the CAF Champions League, and win the Egypt Cup. But as of now, it feels like they'll have to choose. They'll really have to choose whether they want to win the Egypt Cup, they want to win the Egypt League, or they want to win the CAF Champions League. Because in the last month or so, they've been playing a game literally almost every single day. Not every day, but then they've been playing a game, I think, almost every 4 or 5 days. They're always playing a game. And the thing is, they were initially leading the league and had our league written on their necks, literally chasing them. That means you cannot really rotate your squad with that freedom, because if you are freely rotating your squad, that means you are resting very important players in games that they should not lose, and that could bite. And I think that was the result we saw in the Egypt League. They lost 2 games on the trot, and as of now, it's just 1 game left in the Egypt Premier League, and they are 2 points behind Al Ahly. So it looks like they are probably about maybe 10% chance of winning the league, if I put it. So the treble is looking very unlikely for them. And if you check into the Premier team itself in their last, I think, 5 games or so, and we realize that they've struggled with terms of keeping players to be fit for their games, because they are playing so many games, so many important games all at once. I mentioned the game almost every 4 days for the team. A player like Platiture in midfield, I was doing the calculation, for the past 29 days, he has been playing a game every 4 days. Every 4 days, he's playing for the past 29 days. I did for a player like, I think, Amir Sami in defense. He has been playing a game every 3.5 days in their last 4 games. Every 3.5, he has been playing a game. I did for, I think, Mohamed Chibi, the right back. He has also been playing a game every 3.5 days in their last 4 games. So this is a team that is really exhausted. Even the defensive midfielder for, that is Pyramids FC. Mohamed Lashin, who is a very important piece of the puzzle for Pyramids, he has not even been in the team in the last 3 games. He's not been in the squad. I don't know whether it's because he's been rested or fatigue or injuries, but and he has not been in the team in the last 3 games. So this is a team that has really been stressed coming into this final to play against that is Mamelodi Sundowns. If you look at other players in the team, and they've done a lot of rotation here and there, even though they use a lot of their main team. But let me go into some key players to highlight for Pyramids FC going into this final. And I think one man who will really be contentious will be this man, Mohamed Hamdi, and the left back for Pyramids. I think mostly they have 2 options to play for as the left back row. Either play Mohamed Hamdi as a left back or play Karim Hafiz, who is has a lot more attacking intensity or intense on him. I think probably Mohamed Hamdi will come really, really, really handful in this game because the best player for Sundowns, I mean, is Lucas Ribeiro Costa in terms of what we've seen so far this season. And if you need someone to shut him down, who better than Mohamed Hamdi, who is a bit more resilient, a bit more rigid in defense, can do the job well in terms of on the defensive work itself. So I think Mohamed Hamdi is going to be one man to be very key for Pyramids in this game. Then this man, Ibrahim Mandel, who in the CAF Champions League semi-final, he was injured at that point, so he didn't really play a lot of games at that point. But he's back from injury, fresh into the team, and after coming back in the last 4 games, he has scored 3 goals. 3 goals in the last 4 games. He's already part of the top scorers of the CAF Champions League and part of the top scorers of the Egypt Premier League. So this is a big threat for Sundowns and Ibrahim Mandel as to how he's going to really perform in this game for Pyramids. There's also Mohamed Tibi, who for me has been an important piece of the Pyramids team because you always find him trying to, when they want to skip the build-up from defense to midfield to attack, it's always through Mohamed Tibi because of his good technique. He can take the ball about 70 yards accurately to his man, and he'll probably come in very handy in this game because Sundowns are a team who like to attack. Probably they'll leave men behind. So who better to ping fast balls, long balls to catch Sundowns on a break than Mohamed Tibi. So I think it's really going to come in hand in this game for Pyramids. Then also the 2 men in midfield, Mohamed Lashim, who I mentioned his name already, alongside Blati Toure, who the 2 pivots who have really carried Pyramids in the Champions League this season. Lashim playing the much more conservative role, and then Blati Toure playing the box-to-box role, going and coming back, who they've been a force to play against in midfield. So let me now cover Mamelodi Sundowns and what they have to offer for this final. And for Sundowns, they don't have any competition to play. They are done with the South African Premiership. They won it already. The League Cup is over. The Cup is over. So the full focus of the Sundowns team is on the CAF Champions League because the next competition is the Club World Cup, which is about a month away. So for now, the full focus is on the CAF Champions League final against Pyramids, so they can fully focus and prepare for it. And one advantage for Sundowns also coming into this game is that, unlike Pyramids, who were fighting neck on neck for the Egypt Premier League title, for Sundowns, they had a big lead over second place in the South African Premiership, that is Orlando Pirates. So in their last remaining games, they also had to play, I think, about 5 or 6 games in the last month, but they could get the ability to shuffle, to rotate a lot of the players. So you take the goalkeepers, Dennis Onyango has had time to play some of the games. Ronan Williams has had time to play some of the games. You take the defensive line from Lucas Suarez, from Koza, from Modiba, from Koliso Modao, from Lebusa, from Kekana. All these players have had time to play in terms of other defense from Mamelodi Sundowns. You check the midfield, same thing. There's been a lot of rotation, even though a player like Marcelo Allende, who starts a lot of games, plays a lot of games, you realize that by this 50th minute, I think it was averagely by the 50th minute, he's up. Because for most of the games, Sundowns will probably be leading by the 60th minute. So he's off. By the 50th minute, 53rd minute, he's off to rest. And even there was one of the games he didn't even start. And we go to the attacking line for Sundowns. Ribeiro Costa, he had some time to rest. Also, by 6-30 minutes, he was always going off from the game. So this is a team that has really been well rotated, and the minutes for the players has been well managed. So they'll come into this team probably a lot more physically stronger, like in terms of match fitness, a lot more stronger, less fatigued as compared to their opponent, Pyramids FC, who have really been stressed in this past few games because they had to play a lot of their key players in very important games they couldn't afford to lose. The journey for Sundowns in the Champions League this season has been very different, and I think that could probably be one of the reasons why they are in the final this season. And let me explain to you. They started with Mbambane Swallows in the qualifiers, and they won 8-0 over 2 legs. I mean, it was no competition, very easy. But that was where it ended in terms of it getting very easy for Sundowns, because in the group stages, the very first game they played in the group stage against Maniema Union from DRC, and they struggled. They played a 0-0 draw, struggled to score, and the game ended in a goalless draw. By match day 6, at the end of the group stage, they needed to get a draw. They needed to get a draw or get eliminated from the Champions League when they were playing match day 6. And in that game they played against Atfa, it was a very nervy finish because in the last 7 minutes, if Sundowns had conceded, they were going out. And it never happens like this. Sundowns always make it out of the group stage, sometimes about 2 games in hand with a game in hand. But at this point, they went into the last game knowing that they need to avoid defeat or they're going to get eliminated. And they only got a draw. They couldn't even win that last game. They only got a draw to make it. So it was a team that struggled in the group stage. Coming into the quarterfinal, it was the same tough challenge for them in the quarterfinal because they played against Esperance and were even saved by a VAR offside rule, which was very tight offside because they could have easily been eliminated at that point and qualified with just a 1-goal advantage over Esperance. Then coming into the semi-final, they made it over Ali on away goals. They scored, I think, in the 80-plus minutes on away goals to make it. So this is a team that has struggled from the group stage right to the final, which is unlike Sundowns because, as I mentioned, they always find it very easy to scale through the group stage. So by the time they get to the knockouts and things get difficult, they panic and they get eliminated. But this time around, they struggled from the group stage. So they adapted as to how to survive in games they are not even playing their best of footballing. And I think that survival spirit has really aided them to make it beyond the quarterfinal, beyond the semifinals. And even this time, they're in the finals for the first time in 9 years. Let me highlight some key players for Sundowns coming into this game who I think will be very, very key. And my first one is this man, Marcelo Allende, because his playmaking abilities, the ability to play within the lines, I mean, he has the ability to drop so deep and control and dictate the game for Sundowns, which I think is going to be so key. And even at rare moments can barge forward and get, sometimes even in the penalty box and try and create or score from there. And also has the ability to also shoot from afar. So I think such a player with diverse roles in midfield, diverse abilities in midfield can really count a lot for Sundowns going into this game. There's also Ikram Reines, who is a man on form, a man really on form for Sundowns. He has scored 5 goals in the last 6 games, and this is not the kind of player you want to play against when he has this form in his advantage. So Reines also is one man who likes to play against opponents who like to attack, because if you give him the space, he knows how to utilize spaces. So with Pyramids being a team who like to attack, it could probably fit very well into the narrative for Ikram Reines. Then there is Alpha Sales, who has been revolutionary getting into the last part of the season. He scored, I think, 4 goals in the last 6 games. His link-up play is improved. So it looks like he knows how to link up the attackers who don't play. Sometimes playing Ikram Reines, playing Ribeiro, playing Shuk Matthews. He knows how to really link up Sundowns attackers. He reminds me a bit of Roberto Firmino sometimes as to how he really does well in his link-up play. Then finally, I have to mention this man, Kuliso Mundao, who is always available, present. I mean, it's always impossible to beat him. He literally always stops everyone. So I think it's also another man to look up as a key man for Sundowns going into this game. The right back, Kuliso Mundao. But key battles I'm really looking up to see in this game, and I'll start from the last man I mentioned, Kuliso Mundao, his battle with Ibrahim Adel. You know, Ibrahim Adel is literally the best player, the best attacker for the Pyramids team. And playing against Kuliso Mundao, who is known for stopping almost everyone. I'm really waiting to see who come on top of this. Another Adel with his quality. He's such a quality player. You can't predict him. When you think he's probably going to shoot, he passes and creates a chance. When you think he's going to pass, he makes a dribble and takes a shot. So he's such an unpredictable player who can create and also can score at the same time. Can sometimes be a difficult customer to handle, but then it's Kuluso Mudau who also knows really how to stop players. He's done it for years, done it against literally almost everybody. Then also the midfield battle between Lashin, as I mentioned earlier on, alongside Blati Thure, the two men in midfield for that is Pyramids FC, and the two men in midfield for that is Orlando Pirates, that's Tebo Mokwena and then Marcelo Allende. Lashin and Blati Thure gives you the option of, Thure can give you the option of adding intensity, barging forward, adding that intensity, that box-to-box role. He's around to defend, he's around to attack, driving the team forward. But then also Lashin gives you the sweeper role where he's mopping the areas in front of the centre backs. He's tidying up those mistakes of players when they give the ball away. But then you get to the side of Sundowns and the midfielders are dictating play. So they are controlling the tempo of the game. They are holding onto the ball. They are breaking the lines. They are finding line-breaking passes. They are creating the chances right from deep midfield. They are even taking shots from way out. So I really, for two midfield who offer something a bit different, I'm really waiting to see who will have the other in terms of the two men in midfield, whether it's the Premier midfield or the Sundowns midfield. But let me talk about the approach for this game. And we've known Premiers to be a team who like to attack. I think I've heard the coach say in their previous games that what they know to do is they know how to attack and then come to win the game. So they always play every game to come and win. But in my thinking, I think if the approach of Premiers is to come and win this game, they'll probably receive a bloodbath. They'll be destroyed by Sundowns. And my reason is simple. Sundowns is a team on form. They just won the league. They've won, I think, the last 6 or 7 games, won all of them straightforward. They beat everyone. This is a team that is also a lot fresher as compared to Pyramids. Pyramids, they are not so much psychologically in terms of healthy at this point because they are about to lose the Egypt Premier League title, which will affect the players. The players are also a bit fatigued, a bit tired. I don't think playing a game, especially at 3 o'clock local time at the Lotto Stadium, is the kind of game you want to open up for Sundowns for them to play against you. And we've seen Sundowns in the Champions League this season. They struggle against teams who play the mid to low block. So, I mean, why open up and then put yourself at risk when you can't really match them in terms of fitness levels? You can't match them in terms of controlling the game, and also it's their own home stadium. You don't want the final to be over by the first leg. I'm sure Pyramids will want to keep and stay in the game. So for the first time, I'm really expecting Pyramids to play a bit compact, a mid to low block approach, throwing less players up front, but then be much more cautious of protecting their goal and making sure the final is not over in the first leg. For Sundowns, I think the approach will be to kill the game right from the onset. Intensity. So, as I mentioned, that this is a team on form. They like to control possession in the game. They like to play the attacking players. Reynes, a player on form. Ribeiro, a player on form. Patrick Matthews, if he's starting. He's also had a bit of form this past few weeks. So, for Sundowns, I think it's going to be intensity, try and throw a lot more forward and then win this game and kill it off right from the first leg from Mamelodi Sundowns. So it's going to be really a catchy game. Sundowns against Pyramids, the first leg of the CAF Champions League final. This is only halftime, and when this game is played, it will only be halftime because there'll be a second leg to be played a week later, 30th of June Stadium. Pardon me, 30th of June Stadium. So, but let me know in the comment section who you think is going to win this one. Your prediction for this game. Will Sundowns win it? Will Pyramids win it? Let me just know your prediction in the comment section.